There's a quiet, almost invisible shift that happens when a man stops chasing women. Not because he's angry, not because he's given up, but because he's finally found something far more valuable to pursue: himself. And when that shift happens, the world starts to respond differently. You become less available and instantly more respected. You stop proving yourself and start becoming undeniable. The way women look at you begins to change. They sense something. It's not arrogance. It's presence. It's the energy of a man who doesn't need attention to feel like a man. And the craziest part, you didn't chase it. You didn't beg for it. You just turned your back on the noise and faced your purpose. Suddenly, you're not a follower of desire. You become the object of it. And the world can't help but feel the shift. But the most important transformation? It's not how they see you. It's how you see yourself. Stick around until the very end, because the final change, it's the one that sneaks up on you. And once it hits you, you'll never look at love or yourself the same again. Let's begin. 1. Your energy shifts from need to purpose. Have you ever noticed how exhausting it is to constantly try to be wanted? When you're chasing women, your life becomes a performance. You start curating every word, every outfit, every Instagram post. Not for yourself, but for how it might be perceived. You begin to measure your worth by the reactions you get. A text back feels like a win. Silence? A personal failure. It's subtle, but it slowly eats away at your masculinity. Because when your energy is driven by need, the need to be chosen, the need to be validated, you lose yourself. You become what they want, not who you are. But here's the shift. When you stop chasing women, not out of bitterness, but out of clarity, everything changes. You stop asking, will this make me more attractive? And you start asking, will this make me more powerful? You're no longer seeking attention. You're seeking alignment. You stop performing and start building. Your body, your mind, your mission. And that shift from need to purpose creates something magnetic. Suddenly, your energy feels different. You walk into rooms without trying, and people notice. Not because you're louder, not because you're trying to be alpha, but because you're centered, you're anchored. And women feel that. They feel the man who isn't asking for love. He's creating something worth loving. And paradoxically, that's when the chasing flips. Because when a man is consumed by his mission, he becomes the prize. And here's the question you have to sit with. Who would you be if you stopped performing for women and started becoming someone even you admire? Stick around, because the next shift that happens when you stop chasing might be even more powerful. Chapter 2. You stop tolerating disrespect. Let's be honest, when you're chasing women, your standards get blurry. You tell yourself she's just joking when she mocks you in front of her friends. You excuse her coldness, her emotional games, her inconsistencies, because somewhere deep inside, you've tied your worth to winning her over. So you tolerate things you'd never accept from anyone else. Why? Because when you crave validation, even breadcrumbs feel like a feast. You think, if I just prove I'm good enough, maybe she'll finally see me. But here's what you don't realize. Every time you stay silent through disrespect, you shrink. Not just in her eyes, but in your own. But when you stop chasing women, when you shift your focus back to yourself, something powerful happens. Your vision sharpens. You start noticing the subtle digs, the quiet contempt, the lack of effort. And this time, you don't explain it away. You don't beg. You don't try to fix her. You walk, not because you're heartless, but because you've remembered your value. You've reconnected with the part of you that knows, I'd rather be alone than be disrespected. And that shift, it terrifies the wrong women, but it attracts the right ones. Because a man who respects himself sets the tone for how others treat him. So here's a hard question. How many times have you silenced yourself just to keep someone interested? And how much of yourself did you lose in the process? When you stop chasing women, you start protecting your peace. You stop proving and start choosing. Because nothing is lonelier than being disrespected in a relationship where you thought you were valued. And nothing is more powerful than the man who says, I don't need this to feel whole. Stick around, because the next shift that happens when you stop chasing women will challenge everything you thought love was supposed to feel like. Chapter 3. You become a mystery. Most men make the same mistake. They show everything too soon. They flood our inbox with messages. They share every little detail about their life, their dreams, their flaws. Why? Because they think if they reveal it all, if they let her see their vulnerability, she'll fall for them. But here's the painful truth. Oversharing isn't intimacy. It's insecurity disguised as openness. When you're chasing, you're trying to win her, and that pressure leads to desperation. You overtext, overcommunicate, overexplain, because you fear the silence. You fear she'll forget you, move on, or see you for who you really are. But here's the twist. When you stop chasing women, you stop needing to prove anything. You stop seeking approval. You stop explaining yourself to fill the silence. Instead, you become a mystery. You pull back. You let her wonder. Your time is no longer dedicated to her every whim. It's spent on things that matter. Your passions, your growth, your goals. And here's where it gets interesting. This is when she starts chasing you. Why? Because mystery triggers curiosity. Curiosity sparks desire. Think about it. When you reveal everything to someone, what is there left to discover? But when you hold back, when you let her come to you, asking questions, seeking more, she becomes invested in uncovering the layers you've carefully kept hidden. So, don't make the mistake of spilling your soul in every conversation. Don't over-explain your thoughts, your past, or your plans. Let her wonder what you're thinking, why you're so focused. And here's the kicker. While she's trying to piece you together, you're building the life that doesn't depend on her approval. You're too busy growing, evolving, and becoming the best version of yourself to play the game. Let her chase. You've got better things to do. And speaking of better things, stick with me till the end, because the final change that happens when you stop chasing women will flip everything you thought you knew about relationships. Chapter 4. You rebuild your self-worth. When you're chasing women, there's a hidden truth that most men don't acknowledge. You're doing it because you don't feel good enough. Every like, every text she replies to, every glance of attention feels like a small fix to that nagging feeling inside. But here's the thing, it's fragile. It's like living with a crutch. It gives you temporary comfort, but it doesn't fix the root cause of the pain. The moment she pulls away, you're back to square one, feeling empty and questioning your value. Chasing women often comes from insecurity. You need her approval to feel validated, to feel wanted. But that validation is fleeting. It's built on a foundation of fear. The fear that, without her attention, you might not be enough. But when you stop chasing, you take the most powerful step toward transformation. You start building your self-worth from within. You stop looking outside for affirmation and start looking inward. You become proud of the man you see in the mirror, even if no one else notices. You stop relying on her or anyone to make you feel whole. You realize that your worth isn't tied to someone else's approval. It's tied to the value you place on yourself. And here's the surprising part. When you start becoming your own source of validation, everything changes. You become unshakable. You stop seeking approval because you already approve of yourself. And guess what happens next? When you stop needing women for validation, you start becoming impossible to ignore. You'll see them attracted to your confidence. Not because you're trying to impress them, but because you've mastered the most magnetic trait a man can have, self-respect. Stick around, because the next point might be the biggest shift you'll experience. It's something that'll change how you approach relationships forever, and how women approach you. Don't miss it. Chapter 5. You start to attract higher quality women. Something wild happens when you stop chasing women. It's almost like flipping a switch. The low-quality women, the ones who crave attention, drama, and control, start fading away. They can't hook you anymore. Their games, their drama, their need for validation, it all loses its power over you. Why? Because you're no longer playing in their world. You're not chasing their approval. You're not desperate for their attention, and they feel it. Here's the thing most men don't realize. When you chase women who thrive on drama, you're feeding into their need for control and validation. But when you stop chasing, you take that power back, and it's a game changer. The high-quality women, the ones who value strength, ambition, integrity, and clarity, they start noticing you. Why? Because you're no longer available for nonsense. You're selective with your time, your energy, your attention. You're not just handing out your presence like candy to anyone who asks for it. You've leveled up. And because you've leveled up, they want to level up too. These women are looking for a man who has direction, purpose, and an unshakable sense of self. They want someone who isn't desperate for their validation, a man who is confident in his own worth, regardless of what anyone else thinks. That's rare. And rarity is magnetic. What you're really doing when you stop chasing is filtering out the distractions. You're making space for women who truly align with you, the ones who bring value to your life, not chaos. And this doesn't just attract anyone. It attracts women who are a match for the best version of you. They see your confidence, your independence, your clarity, and they respect it. The best part? These women are rare too, and they want a man who recognizes that. So by stopping the chase, you're making yourself rare. And when you're rare, high-quality women find themselves drawn to you. So stay tuned. The final point is the most powerful shift you'll experience. And once you understand it, you'll never go back. It'll change the way you see everything about attraction, relationships, and yourself. Don't miss it. Chapter 6. Your masculine edge returns. Masculinity isn't just about being strong. It's about having direction. It's about movement. It's about knowing where you're going and having the courage to take the next step, regardless of what's in front of you. But here's the truth. When you're chasing women, you become reactive. You're constantly bending to their needs, adjusting to their mood swings, trying to please, trying to impress. You become a man on standby, waiting for her approval, hoping for her validation. But when you stop chasing, you stop reacting. You stop adjusting to fit someone else's picture of who you should be. And in that moment, you reclaim your edge. You start moving on your terms. You take action because you want to, not because you need to prove something. Suddenly, you're not just attractive. You're magnetic. You're no longer running after fleeting desires. Instead, you become a man who knows exactly what he wants, and more importantly, how to get it. Your sense of self is rooted in something far deeper than fleeting attention. This shift doesn't just change how you feel inside. It changes how the world responds to you. You become the kind of man who isn't chasing because he's too busy becoming the best version of himself. Women, they notice this shift. They see a man who stands tall in his own skin. They see a man who is grounded in purpose and doesn't let his energy get scattered or diluted by distractions. And that's the type of man who naturally draws attention, not because he's chasing, but because he's leading. This is where your power lies, in becoming, not in chasing. Chapter 7. The finale. You discover the real prize. Here's the twist. This whole journey was never about women. It was never about chasing validation, seeking approval, or trying to impress. It was about you. For so long, you've been chasing external affection, seeking attention, approval, and validation from someone else. The constant worry, the anxiety over whether or not you'll get a text back or if she'll be interested tomorrow, became a part of your life. You believed that love or validation from someone else could fill the void inside you. You thought if you could just get her to choose you, everything would fall into place. But what if I told you that all along, you've been ignoring the real prize? What if that prize has always been within you, waiting to be unlocked? When you stop chasing women, you finally stop leaking your energy. All that mental and emotional effort you've been investing, the wondering, the questioning, the trying to please, it all stops. You stop living in reaction, constantly adjusting to someone else's preferences. You stop seeking external approval. No longer do you have to rely on the validation of someone else to feel worthy. All those hours spent worrying about whether she'll text back or if she likes you enough. Gone. Instead, you start redirecting all that energy back into yourself. You begin investing in your mission, the purpose that drives you. You focus on your health, your well-being, and your growth. You make decisions based on what you need, not what others think. You build something real, something that doesn't depend on the whims of someone else's affection. You start to live your life with intention, not based on someone else's approval. And in doing so, you uncover something beautiful. You realize the real prize was never about her. The real prize was always about you, the man you were becoming all along. The man who doesn't chase. The man who knows his worth. The man who has purpose, clarity, and direction. The man who is no longer swayed by fleeting attention. You've built a foundation of self-respect, self-love, and self-worth that no one can take away. You become the kind of man who values himself enough to never settle for anything less than mutual respect and genuine connection. You understand that true value comes from within, and no external validation can replace the peace and confidence that comes with that realization. Once you've experienced this shift, you'll never look back. This change doesn't just affect how you interact with women, it changes how you interact with the world. It alters how you perceive yourself. Your confidence is no longer dependent on someone else's opinions. You begin to realize that the most important relationship you'll ever have is with yourself. This realization doesn't just change your life. It transforms your entire perspective on everything. The way you look at your future, the way you pursue your goals, and most importantly, the way you see your worth. And once you see it, you'll never go back. The chase is over. And in its place, you've found something far more valuable: yourself.